Yeah, who are you?
I am Bunny.
Whoa. Whoa. Do you have webs that you shoot out? Whoa. Did you know that one of the most common fears that people have is public speaking? At the Homesteading Life Conference, I was a part of a lineup of speakers that had to get up and speak in front of over 400 people. Wow. How would you feel if you had to get up in front of 400 people and give a talk? Well, more on that later. Our family, my family, lives in North Carolina, and we had to travel all the way to Hannibal, Missouri for the Homesteading Life Conference. So it was a pretty good drive. We rented a car to drive out there. And along the way, we try to make sure that when we're driving and taking trips like that, we try to sprinkle in some education, listening to some podcasts and audio Bible and things like that, as well as have some good conversation, and then just quiet time to just think or take a nap or whatever. But we also like to sing and dance and listen to good music. It's just part of the things that we like to do to make it fun, make the time that we travel fun. Regretfully, I can't play the songs because of copyright material and so forth that we listen to during our trip. But if you want to hear it, make sure you check out my Instagram page, and you can see some of that in the stories and the story highlights. Well, after 14 hours, we finally got to Hannibal. And this was our second year there for the conference. And this conference is put on by our friends at Off Grid with Doug and Stacy. And Doug rented for us an apartment in downtown Hannibal. Last year we didn't stay in downtown, but this year we did. And it was really neat to be able to have a lengthier time just to sit and observe the downtown area. It's really a different town. It's an older town. It's the hometown of Mark Twain, for those of you who are familiar with that, and stories of Tom Sawyer. And when we got to our apartment, it was really nice. We were really impressed with it. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was really nice and spacious with hardwood floors. And the living room and dining room and kitchen area were really neat. It was really well lit from the natural sunlight that came through the windows, and out the windows you could look out and see the downtown areas. It's just really neat and comfortable. Our bedrooms are comfortable as well. And I was actually experimenting with growing microgreens right there in one of the windowsills. And during our stay there, one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how quiet the downtown area got at nighttime. Yes, after about 9-10 o'clock, the city was pretty much shut down. It was quiet. I talked to one of the locals there, and he said that, yep, Hannibal's a pretty nice place. And even the riffraff we have here, they're in bed at night, not causing any trouble. So I was like, wow, that's pretty unusual. And even in the morning, when I got up pretty early and looked out at 6-7 o'clock, the streets were still calm. I was just like, wow, this is a pretty interesting place. We intentionally arrived to Hannibal a little bit early. We arrived a couple days before the conference began, just to give us some time to transition and not just feel like we're in a rush for as soon as we get there and then the conference started. We wanted to have some time to rest and have some time to really just transition into going into the conference smoothly. And one of the days that we were resting, we had the opportunity to spend time with my aunt and uncle and went to lunch with them. But while we were walking to lunch, we had no idea, but there was this really neat Corvette car show that was going on. And after walking through the car show, we had lunch at the Mark Twain Dinette. And we really had an enjoyable time together. So Aunt Mincy and Uncle Jose, thank you very much for spending some time with us. We really, really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you again soon. Well, the next day, it was time for the Homesteading Life Conference to begin. I was super excited and pumped up and ready to go. The beautiful morning this morning here, right here in Hannibal, Missouri. Hanging out with Josiah here. Doing all right?
Yep.
And we are getting ready for the Homesteading Life Conference, and it's so neat to see the crowd lining up. So exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep, and all the vendors are setting up, and Lacie and Micah and Selah are setting up a table for us, and we're going to be doing a demo here pretty soon on growing microgreens. So pretty excited about that. And then it came time for the conference to begin, and Doug and Stacy got on stage and kick-started the conference off strong. And once the conference was going, there were speakers on the inside in the main theater hall, as well as there were speakers in a tent outside doing demonstrations. I was one of the first ones outside doing demos, and Selah was right there with me for my demonstration, and we did a demonstration on growing microgreens. While we were doing that, inside, Dr. Leo started off with a talk on natural beekeeping, and Dr. Henderson did one on being sick or healthy. That is your choice. And in our Patreon member, I'm supplying our patrons with some of those talks. So if you want to hear some of those talks and have access to the full length of those talks, feel free to support us on Patreon or donate on PayPal, and we'll be happy to provide some of those for you. And then following after me in the speaker tent was our good friend Dr. Flower, and she did an excellent presentation on how to make your own tinctures. It was fantastic. I'll actually plan to provide that for our supporters as well. And after the first round of talks, it was time for lunch. And there was a buffet lunch inside the theater, and this was one of the things that Doug and Stacy added this year to the conference that wasn't there last year. And there was a number of things that they stepped up on and added new features for this conference. I thought that there was no way that they were going to be able to upgrade and do things better from last year just because it was so great. But I was amazed. It seemed like each and every moment there was something new and exciting and an improvement made. So Doug and Stacy did a fantastic job. And then after lunch, it was time to get on stage and speak. Flower went before me, and I was getting a little anxious, excited. Palms getting a little sweaty, like what starts to happen before you get up and speak. For me, I've spoken in public I don't know how many times now, and it's like you kind of always have this excitement. For me, it's not like I panic and I'm like, oh, I can't do it, or want to cry, or whatever, or wet my pants. But for me, it's like I want to do it. I'm excited and I look forward to doing it. But at the same time, you kind of get jittery and you get shaken. But I kind of get in the zone, like I'm getting ready to perform or something, because it is like a performer's type high. It's pretty cool. I know it's not for everybody, but it's pretty cool. So Dr. Flower did her talk, and then I got up there and I talked about being fit physically and financially on the homestead. And I was so happy to be able to give this talk and share some of the things that I have learned to those homesteaders who are out there in the audience. But it was kind of intimidating looking out and seeing about 400 or so people in attendance looking up at you. You're like, whoa. But I was so happy to be able to talk and share things with those homesteaders. And then following my talk, all the speakers for today got up on stage, and this was a time where they have, which is called the panel talk, where members of the audience just get to ask questions to those of us speakers, and we get the opportunity to just kind of share based on those questions. And I really enjoy it. This is one of the times that I really like to do, because it gives us a chance to interact and provide information based on the questions that people are asking. So that was day one of this 2-day conference. But after that, Doug and Stacy provide an option to do a dinner cruise on the Mississippi River. We didn't do it last year, but this time we did. And I was so thankful that my mother and father-in-law actually came to this conference with us and was able to enjoy time with us on the cruise with all these other homesteaders. The dinner cruise started off with a really nice dinner. then as the boat started going down the river, it was just so beautiful. It was just so neat to share this moment with other homesteaders, people who are like-minded. And right alongside the river, there's a train track where trains are transporting various items, and the kids really enjoyed seeing the train and hearing it. And it was so nice to be able to go on different levels of the deck, just exploring and seeing the beautiful water and experiencing the Mississippi River on this cruise. It was absolutely beautiful. And the sun that was setting along the horizon was amazing. What do you think about up here, Micah?
Yeah.
Is it pretty? What about you, Josiah?
I like it too.
Wow.
Day.
2 trains? And that was day 1. We went back to our apartment, still jittery. The kids not really ready to go to sleep yet, even though we should have been going to sleep earlier than we did. But we were just excited and so happy to be there. Then next morning came and it was day 2 of the conference. And everyone was just as enthusiastic about day 2 as they were day 1. And the lineup of speakers was full again. But this time, I did not have to speak this day, either at the tent or in the main speakers hall. So Doug gave me the time off, so not sure if he's wanting to fire me or whatever, but it was nice to have that time to be able to just not have to worry about presenting or talking, but just to interact and speak with other homesteaders, as well as take in a few talks. One of the talks that I was really looking forward to hearing was from Derek the handyman. He gave a presentation on harvesting rainwater, and I was really excited about that because I want to implement some of that on our homestead.
So it's definitely easier to harvest water higher in your watershed rather than low. Because anything that you do at the top of your watershed is going to affect what happens at the bottom of your watershed. So if you have a good amount of slope to your property, you want to start at the top.
And as I had the opportunity to walk around and interact with the different homesteaders, it was just so neat to be able to communicate and speak to these different homesteaders and provide them with some encouragement. And some people were providing me with encouragement. I really appreciated having the opportunity to meet all these various people, and I appreciate those of you who are watching this who came up and had the opportunity to speak with me. It was a blessing to me, and I hope that I was a blessing to you. And then as I was walking around interacting with the different homesteaders, I had the opportunity to ask a few of them a couple of questions. And one of those questions was, why did you come to the Homesteading Life Conference?
We came to see everybody and learn new things. Eventually we're going to build an off-the-grid cabin on our property, so they have a lot of information here that we wanted to learn.
So what has been your favorite thing about the conference so far?
Getting toys.
What kind of toys you got there?
Mommy guys, and I got a puppy.
A puppy.
Oh wow, do you have a name for that puppy yet?
Birthday cake.
Birthday cake, that's a good name. I like that, very creative.
I liked meeting people, meeting new friends, and kind of
And
networking
meeting
with
more
people.
YouTubers.
There you go. There's a few of us here.
He's geeking out as much as I am.
That is so cool. So why did you guys come to the Homesteading Life Conference?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just, you know, to see old friends and make more new friends.
Because we came last year.
Came last year, and we also enjoy, you know, the different things like learning how to make mustard and ketchup, microgreens, beekeeping. Those kind of things are where we can better improve on what we're trying to accomplish as a small little homestead.
There we go.
As we eat plant-based, you know, especially the microgreens.
There you go.
Definitely interested
Microgreens.
Because really wanting to drum up that some more since we do eat plant-based. He just started eating plant-based in April, so
the other neat thing is you hear everybody's story, and once you hear what they're doing and the success they're having, it gives you the motivation to, you know, keep plugging away when we're failing on some things, but we're learning how to do things better.
There we go. And what has been your favorite thing about the conference so far? Maybe something you didn't expect that you just like, wow, it was great. Maybe a couple things.
For me, it was the microgreens. You know, we're struggling on those, and you know, seeing your demonstration on that kind of reinforces us. Like, hey, we know what we can go home and do now, and do it better and do it right.
Okay, so why did you come to the Homesteading Life Conference?
Well, my wife and I, we've been watching all the different YouTubers and just learning from them, and it's nice to come and get the hands-on and meet them and make them a real person, right, face to face, and just meeting with them and hearing them live and getting to ask questions that you would have when you're watching a video that you'd have to wait to send an email or back and forth. It's kind of a wonderful thing to do and kind of a neat way to communicate back and forth and just get to be part of the whole family. Plus you meet a lot of people that are like-minded.
Here we go, and the conference is almost over, regretfully, but what has been your favorite thing about the conference?
Well, I've really liked a lot of the speakers and listened to everybody, but I know this is going to sound weird, but my best part is last night, like after the conference was over, we're sitting and meeting people that we saw at the conference and we're like-minded. We have great conversation. Didn't even want to go to bed last night because we were sitting and talking and made great friends here that we met last year here, and then again this year we find some people that we all are thinking the same way and growing in the same direction. So that's been awful nice.
So why did you guys come to the Homesteading Life Conference this year?
We're big fans of Doug and Stacy.
Sure.
We watch some of you other guys on YouTube as well. We live in a rural area. We have 5 acres. We built our house ourselves. We raise goats. Got a garden. We homeschool our kids. So
It's excited to learn a lot more and meet people with the same interest as us. Yeah. So we're hoping to learn more and meet more people. And
we definitely have. I can't
had a
wait
great
to get
time.
home actually.
Yeah.
So to get started.
Yes, for sure.
Among some of the attendees there were fellow homesteading YouTubers, and it was neat to be able to talk with some of them. And one of them, Blake from Daddy Curb's YouTube channel, make sure you check his out if you haven't already, had the chance to ask him some of those same questions of why he came to the Homesteading Life Conference.
Well, so last year when I got to hang out with Doug for a little bit, he encouraged me to come visit because this is a great place. The first year, last year, turned out really well. A good place for people of like-minded, like ideas to get together and share in community, and it has turned out absolutely true. I had such a good time yesterday and today sharing stories with people and just loving on each other, being a part of each other's lives, making good friends, and getting great video. Thank you for letting me be in your video.
There we go. And what has been your favorite thing so far out of this conference? What have you gotten out of it? Things that you maybe not expected to have gotten out of it.
Mostly I've kind of just hung out, not in the actual conference, listening to too many things, but getting to spend some time with Dr. Leo, a beekeeper, one-on-one, talking about bees. That was really valuable for me. And then just really floating around and shaking hands, hugging people, and getting to know people and sharing stories. That's really been the most valuable thing for me.
And once the conference was over and people started cleaning things up and all the vendors were disassembling things, I wanted to talk to Doug and Stacy, and I wanted to ask them a couple of questions.
That's a wrap.
The Homesteading Life Conference 2019
in the books.
Over.
Yep.
Wow. And man, it was a blast.
You sure?
Yeah, I've touched base with a lot of people and they said the exact same thing.
Good.
And I want to ask you guys, this was a lot of work putting this together. Why do you do it? Why did you put this together for everyone? Go through all this work.
So basically for us, like we've said over and over and truly believe in it and want to see it come true, is that we're teachers at heart. So the stuff that we're learning, we feel that if we can pass it forward, that it could save a lot of people troubles and headaches, and also just help them improve their homestead or even help them start homesteading.
Yeah, because knowledge is power, and I really love to see the kids. It's the younger generation. The kids are just absolutely amazing, and the things they're sitting in the workshops they're making friends. It's like a one family unit, and it was so much fun working with the kids because we did a lot of stuff with the kids this weekend, and I just loved it.
That's the big thing right there is community. That's probably the biggest reason. But it's just to help keep people tuned in and face to face. You can watch YouTube videos all the time, but when you see someone and you talk to them and you can really connect with them physically on a person-to-person level, that's a whole nother thing. So
You're exactly right, and I really appreciate the things that you guys have going for the kids and help pass on these things to the next generation and passing on the legacy. That's one of the reasons why I started homesteading, to be able to have that, to be able to pass on to my kids. Yeah. It's great that you
Because I think it skipped a couple generations, you know what I mean? All
Yeah.
this stuff about self-sufficiency and growing, I mean, it's crazy. So now
we have to leave this place better than we found it. So that's what we're trying to do. So
there we go. Well, I asked a number of people what their favorite thing about the conference was. What would you say was your favorite thing about this conference?
I think just the whole fellowship of it, right? The community, the people coming together, the way everyone honks their horn when we're shooting videos, just all that stuff that goes into putting this thing together. And just, that was actually the person who owns the Star Theater. She's a really nice lady. If you're ever in the Hannibal area, check out the Star Theater. They're great for events.
yeah, the venue is amazing.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah,
Charlie
amazing.
Chaplin played in this
And Boy Rogers.
theater.
Boy Rogers
Yeah,
too.
it's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
This really was a great venue, and 2020 Homesteading Life Conference.
The first Sunday and Monday in August, every year from here on out until we just can't do it no more. But hopefully you'll see you in Hannibal, Missouri in August in 2020. First Sunday and Monday.
There we go. See you then.
See you then.
See ya.
And then the next day we traveled all the way back to North Carolina. It took us a little bit longer this time. It took us about 15 hours, but we were back home. We were all pretty tired and exhausted, but man, what a good time it was. And I asked the family, so Selah, what was your favorite thing about the Homesteading Life Conference?
My favorite part was seeing all the vendors. My favorite vendor was the one where they had all the elderberries.
Were they tasty or something?
Yeah.
There we go. So they had, what do they have, syrups and things like that?
Yep.
Pretty neat. So Micah, you got a bow and arrow? So Micah, what was your favorite thing about the Homesteading Life Conference? You got to see Doug and Stacy, and it was your birthday too, right?
Yeah.
It sure was. Josiah, what was your favorite thing about the Homesteading Life Conference?
Mine was getting my face painted.
You got yours painted like Spider-Man too, right?
Mm-hmm. I got both my mask.
You had a mask?
He had it one side of his face. It was painted like Spider-Man.
Oh wow, it sure was. It looked kind of cool. Can you shoot some webs?
Like that.
Like that? And Mommy, what was your favorite thing about the Homesteading Life Conference?
I think my favorite thing was getting to meet everybody and see people that we saw last year and just even build community even more. There was so much to see and do, but my favorite part was the people.
Fantastic. Oh, and I guess that comes to me. Why did I go to the Homesteading Life Conference? Well, I went to the Homesteading Life Conference to share, to serve, and to share some of the experiences and things that I have learned with fellow homesteaders. And one of my favorite things about the Homesteading Life Conference was the response that I received from people who heard my talks and presentations, coming up to me, asking me questions, and just telling me how much my talks and information that I provided meant to them. That really made me feel great. And that really is one of the blessings for me of going to that event. And I'm so thankful for Doug and Stacy inviting me to be a part of this event, and so thankful for homesteaders like you who were there at the event. So thank you very, very much. And speaking of vendors, the kids got Mr. Fit back here a little gift. So here's Mr. Fit. For those of you who don't know who Mr. Fit is, he is a trophy that I won back in my bodybuilding days. And he has an apron on that was custom made from one of the vendors at the conference. So he's ready to get his bake on or something with some love. So that is Mr. Fit. Well, I'm not sure if you can hear that or not. You probably can, but it's starting to rain outside. And speaking of Mr. Fit and fitness, I have joined up and partnered up with Justin Rhodes as well as a number of other YouTubers and offering a free do-it-yourself homesteading abundance course. So make sure you check out the info in the show notes below. Also, make sure you join us in 2020 if Doug will have me back, hopefully he hasn't fired me, for the Homesteading Life Conference in 2020. That's it for now. This rain, we'll call it a day. And as always, see you next time and grow on.